Hello artists, today I'm going to be showing you how to create this beautiful fall color study grid using soft pastels. I start out by doing a basic value study and then I go in with those vibrant golds and oranges to create that warm autumn glow, and I just have fun experimenting. So join me today. Here I'm going to show you how I tape off the paper. I just tape on all four sides. I'm using a very inexpensive Winsor & Newton pastel paper. I'll leave a link below. And then I tape off 4 rectangles with that artist tape. Here is the palette I'll be using today for all of these studies. This is more than enough pastels, and let's get going. I'm going to use, this is like a dark red burgundy color. And I'm just going to put in where those darkest shapes are. So these bushes, they're pretty dark in the photo. And I may just simplify the scene a little bit for these studies. I'll put the photo on the screen here. So I might just kind of put that far tree in just a little bit, but not as much. This paper, as you can see, has a lot of texture. So those kind of lower bushes. And then maybe down here, the foreground, usually kind of you want some darks. Pressing very lightly because this is just regular unsanded pastel paper and doesn't take a lot of layers. Okay, so that's my dark. And then I want a medium, so I could use one of these maybe. Let's do that one. So this is my medium tone. And I'm gonna go in here, that tree. You don't need to be exact with this. This tree here is more of a medium. There's a couple trees back here. Okay. And that shadow as well here is actually, I think, a little bit lighter. I think I need to go a little lighter with that. And then these distant trees. And I can go back in and okay. And then I want a light. Let's see, I guess I could go with that. You know, I almost need something in between for this mountain back here. It's more of a hill. Where I live, there's these foothills that they're sort of flat on top, and you can tell that this was once a giant riverbed. And then there's the sky. Sky holes. Okay, and then here, just kind of blending that shadow a little bit there. Pressing so lightly. to reestablish some of these darks. So, go in. Now this paper actually is really nice for doing color studies because you can't do a lot of detail with it because it has this such a strong texture. Sometimes you can be tempted to do too much detail, and that's where we go wrong. Okay. Kind of blend that in a little bit. There we go. I think that's looking better already. And then I want an even lighter color. I'm gonna go in. This is my lightest light. And we're gonna go in here. Cut into that tree a little bit. Let me know if you're enjoying this video. I'd love to hear your comments below. Okay. And then I think in the original one I had done, I think maybe I had added too many lights to this field, and I need to kind of pick where I want those lightest lights to be and not put them everywhere. So I think I'm going to choose kind of right, almost in the middle, but not quite, just kind of right back here. Probably not going to add the cows to these studies. We'll see. Pressing harder. Basically, the tooth of this paper is already filling in, so there's not a whole lot more I can do. Kind of want that mountain in the distance, or the hill in the distance, to be a little lighter as well. I think that was a little too dark in my original, my first try. So we're gonna go back and lighten up this foreground a little bit. And come in with that shadow a little more. These are shadows from trees that you can't see. They're off to the side. Okay. And then this is going to be that light mid-tone in a lot of these trees here. This one's a little darker, where that shadow side of the tree is. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Just want to kind of get this corner here. There we go. Because when we take this paper, or take the tape off, it's going to look really cool. You're going to have 4 little framed paintings. Okay. Just wanted to see if I liked that composition, and I do. So now we're going to start going in with all the fun, bright fall colors. this back. One thing I wanted to try was doing all of the trees and the grasses and everything with sort of a blue undertone, because that will really contrast with the yellows and oranges. Blue is the complementary color to yellow and orange. So I'm going to try to lightly sketch in. Again, don't be exact with this. If you're doing a study like this, the point is, with this at least, I wanted to try to do a better job at getting the values correct. So that's what I'm kind of focusing on, and getting the values correct, and then still getting that really warm fall glow. It's sort of a mystery how to do that. Like I said, it's very hard. It's not easy. And yet, as an artist, you see that beautiful fall glow and you just want to paint it. It just cries out to you. At least it does to me. Okay. I'm gonna blend that in a little bit. Already this is kind of giving me my value map just by sort of blending this in. And I could even just kind of use my finger to create that hill in the background. So this was a darkish grayish blue. And then I want to go in with this is more of a turquoise. And I kind of want to see what this looks like underneath those orange leaves that we're going to do. So I'm going to add that to these trees here, even in the shadows. As things recede into the distance, they get lighter. So this is a lighter turquoise. I don't know if this is going to work, this turquoise. This was just an idea I had, and we'll just see together if this indeed does work. Let's lighten that shadow a little bit. Shadows actually are often lighter than you think. Okay. Now, what I want to do here. Right. This is a blue, and I'm going to kind of create that hill shape in the distance. As it goes further in the back, things get cooler and lighter, so I'm using this blue color. And then the sky, I want to keep it pretty pale. This is a really, really pale blue. A warm, pale blue. So I'm just going to fill that in. Do you have trouble painting fall trees like I do? I'll figure this out. I'm just learning along with you all. I'll lighten up that a little bit. You can layer ever so lightly on this paper. Can't get too many layers in though. Okay. Like that. I might use that down here too. I'm almost creating sort of like an underpainting in a way with blues. Okay. Now I might go in with some of the vibrant colors. A little bit scared to do this. Okay. This is an orange. And I'm going to put it in where I see the most vibrant color hitting these trees, just lightly. That tree's in the shadow, but still a little bit of color. Okay. Don't be afraid to put color in your shadows too. This is more of a yellow. So I'm going from dark to light for the most part. That's usually how you do soft pastel. Just lightly, very lightly going over the more distant trees because even though they are getting some of that vibrant sunlight, it's going to be a little more muted because it's in the distance. These foreground grasses here, also kind of catching some of that light. Okay. What do you think? I think that looks pretty nice, actually. These bushes were getting a lot of light as well. And then back in here, kind of in between these two trees, is also catching some of that really vibrant light down at the base of this tree. I like that. This is more of a yellow, and I don't want to do too much of this. I'm just gonna put it in a few spots, kind of blend it in. Don't want it everywhere. I want to see if I can get the impression of a glow without getting too light with my colors. That was the problem I was having, is I was going too light with a lot of those vibrant colors. Okay, just filling in that foreground a little more. Okay, so the sky, I just did that pale blue, and then I'm going to go in with, this is a very pale yellow, and just lightening up closer to the horizon. The closer to the horizon you get, also the lighter and warmer the sky gets. Kind of lightening that up and sort of blending that in. Adding in some sky holes here. lightest color where the sun is really hitting back here. Okay. This is a very, very pale buttery yellow. I want that sun to really be hitting that spot right there. Maybe the tops of that right there, but not everywhere. Just be really careful about putting it everywhere. I'm going to lightly blend it into these. These trees are more in the distance, so they're going to be a little lighter. So I'm just going to use a little bit of this to lighten those trees. Yeah, I don't think I want to use it on that tree actually. This is a yellowy green. Use a little bit of that, see what that looks like in more of the shadow inside of the tree. I think that's looking really nice. I want to add some of that shadow back into this tree. So I got this medium turquoise back out, and I'm gonna kind of add some shadow back in here. The base of this tree as well. So the sun is coming from this side. It was sunrise actually when I took this photo. This is a little darker. So I'm going to darken some of those areas here. Just blend it out. I'm just adding in some trunks, cottonwoods. Just kind of grow all over the place. They're not a very regular growing tree, and they're fun to paint because of that. Okay, I like that. That looks very nice. Now I have to think about what I would like to do for these next two little studies. So I think what I would like to do is maybe do one that's even more high contrast, and then do one that is very low contrast. So even lighter than that one. So let's try that. So this is a very, very dark green. More of a blue-green. So I'm going to sketch in my composition. And my trees here. Let's get that tree in. this is just a playful way to paint, and it's very important to play, because if you expect everything to be a masterpiece, you're probably going to come up with a lot of excuses why you don't have time to paint, you don't have the materials you need. I love doing these. Let me know if you love these grid studies as well. It's just such a fun way to do this, because you almost have a piece of art in the end, and I'll show you at the end when I take the tape off what it looks like. Okay, I got that. Now I'm going to blend that in with my finger. Normally I wear gloves, but I ran out of gloves, so just using my bare fingers today. Blending that in. Again, I'm going to kind of use my finger to just sort of create that hill in the background rather than painting it in, actually. This paper just has a really nice sound as well, doesn't it? I hope you like it. Alright. I might go with some more purples in this darker version. Yeah. So I'm just kind of layering a dark purple on that very, very dark green, which almost looks black, actually. You don't really need black at all in your palette. And in fact, the Impressionists, one of the things that they were discovering at the time, which is funny to think actually, there were scientific studies going on proving that shadows are not black or brown or gray, that they have color. It's funny to think that they didn't know that before then. So anyway, the Impressionists were learning from that scientific study and were starting to put colors into their shadows, and that was shocking and revolutionary. Yeah. And now I think we just take it for granted. Make that hill a blue. Get that hill shape in. Kind of carve in between these trees here. That's a good way to create shapes, is just carving in around the shape rather than painting the shape itself. There we go. Let's try adding some blue to that. Okay. Now I'm gonna start. Let's see here. Let's get the sky in. This is a very pale purple. that orange again. Just where that light's hitting that tree. And this is that orangey color. Already starting to lose a lot of the tooth of this paper, and I wanted to do, I said I was going to do high contrast, but this might just be kind of dark. We'll see. Let's go in with this bright yellow. See if I like that. There. This tree as well. Not sure I'm liking this one as much as this one up here, but yeah, just fill that in a little bit. And just kind of blend. Okay. I want to lighten that hill in the distance. I think it's looking a little too dark now. And I'm going to lighten this foreground and add in a little, some distant little planes in the distance. I think that's important, so you don't just have a flat line going across. It's like a snake. It's looking pretty. I think that's looking nice. Again, I want to lighten this area and these distant fields back here. That's where I want the sun to really be hitting. I'm going to take this very saturated yellow and just press really hard right where I want. I want the sun to really be hitting this area right there. Not everywhere, just be careful. Now I'm going to take that and hit this tree as well. Back here. The sun's really hitting. Let's blend that one in because that's not, I want the main colorful tree to be this one right here. Looks nice. I'll lighten this. I'm just lightly using that same pastel and just going over this. I want to darken that shadow a little more. This purple. And then, let's see. I'm going to add, this is a turquoise. I'm going to kind of add that to some of these distant trees. As you go more in the distance, things get cooler. So I'm going to kind of give some dimension back in the distance here. Adding a little bit of it very lightly to these trees here. And then just kind of dappling it in this shadow. a little bit here too. Okay, that looks nice. Not sure what else I would do to this. Here's a pink, maybe add some pink to the sky. Not sure about that. Go with the yellow, maybe. Just to bring some light back into these spots here. And add some interesting shapes to that tree so it's not just a blob. Go back in with that light purple. Yeah, like that. Sometimes when you blend with your finger, it doesn't always work out. This is a very, very light blue. Just using it on that hill just to lighten it a little bit. Often we make hills and things darker than they need to be. It's usually the problem is you need to lighten things up a little bit. I'm going to use some of that on these distant hills back here, plains back here. So as you get more in the distance, things are cooler. So that blue works good for that. And then maybe just lightly lighten some of that. Kind of blending out those edges so that when we pull this tape off and we see the final, that it just really has some good definition. This is a turquoise, just going back in here. So blue and yellow, like I said, they will kind of vibrate off of each other. And I love that effect, so I'm just kind of adding some of that back in, taking away a little bit more of that, the purple that I had started with. I'm not sure I like that so much, so kind of, it looks nice, and you can see the light hitting that tree there. There's definitely a lot more contrast. So after looking at these, I think I really like this one. So I'm going to do what I did here, but maybe just punch things up a little bit, do a little more contrast. So I'm going to start with that dark green again, and we're going to sketch in the horizon line. I'm sort of using the rule of thirds. And then we're gonna do this. I like that tree shape as well that I did. So we'll see if I can kind of get it to look somewhat similar. It's not gonna be exact. I liked how this tree was coming in like that. Okay, do that. And then some of these bushes, tree shapes. This has been so much fun playing, and my daughter could wake up at any minute, so just listening for her her sleep has been, well, I think with a baby it's always changing, isn't it? Every day, every week is different. Just when you think you're figuring things out, she changes. Right. And let's kind of blend that in. Okay. That mountain. I think I'm going to start with that. I go in with this. This is more of a vibrant blue. Let's see how that looks to have a little bit more of a vibrant color in the background here. That tree. There we go. Okay. I go in with this very pale blue in the sky. Bringing that in the lower parts of the mountain. As it gets closer to the horizon, it gets hills and mountains tend to kind of lighten up and get almost like a foggy, misty look as you look at them lower down. So just kind of adding that in. Some interesting shapes. There we go. Maybe some pink. Just kind of in there as well. Okay. And now I liked these turquoisey colors, so I'm going to go into the shadow area on the tree and add in some of this dark turquoise. Adding it to all these trees. Again, this color will really kind of vibrate with the oranges and yellows. I'm just going to get lighter and lighter. It's kind of my strategy for this one. Just going lighter and lighter until I feel like we've got there. I want to keep some of this dark, of course. Let's go one shade lighter. These trees here. So the sun's coming from the left, so I'm adding those lights, trying to focus them more on that left side as I'm getting lighter. This is actually really pretty with just all these blue colors. I could honestly just make a blue painting. That'd be pretty. Let's try to see if I have, okay, that's one shade even lighter. I think this is the one I used on the mountain, so I'm going to start adding this to those distant planes here. Because that, you want to be cool as you go in the distance. Okay. Cooler and lighter as you go into the distance. I think this one's even lighter, maybe? I don't know, it's about the same. Okay. Maybe that one. Nice. Okay. And now, do I want to add yellow or do I just want to leave it all these beautiful blues? It's really quite lovely. You know, I might just leave it that way. So I think to get that warm fall glow, I really prefer this one. This one is a little too dark. I'm not really connecting with this one as much as this one. I love that vibrant, light, sun-filled scene. So let me know which one is your favorite. These ones surprised me, just kind of more value studies. And maybe I'll add a little bit more darks in here, just there we go. Yeah, I'm surprised by how much fun I had doing more of the value study look. Kind of darken that a little bit. Like I said, for the most part, I wanted to get that value correct, and because that's sort of the biggest issue with fall paintings. And I think here maybe I'll throw a black and white on the screen of this, and you'll see the contrast. I think it's a lot better. I think I was a lot more successful with that, and it still just has this beautiful fall glow, and I love that. Now it's time to remove the tape. This is the exciting part. Oh, probably should have started with, let's see, that one? No, this one. There we go. And then next, go. So beautiful. I love that. And I had so much fun doing this with you today. Let me know if you enjoyed this, which one is your favorite, and also if you're going to try this. I will see you in the next video. Bye.